Our next guest is the brand new chairman of the board of CEA, the Consumer Electronics Association, the producers and owners of CES. And we are delighted to have him as one of his first official duties joining us on the program. He is Dan Pidgeon. Dan, welcome into tomorrow. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Dave. And by the way, congratulations on your 20th year. This is amazing. You've been an important part of this industry for many, many years, and I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad they've prominently displayed you right here in the middle of the floor so that everybody can see you.
Yes. Well, and Chris says, my gosh, there's no place to hide in our fishbowl here in the middle of the floor. But that's what makes it fun. There are so many things to cover, and thank you for those kind words, because it wouldn't be into tomorrow if we weren't able to include CES every year. This is the granddaddy. This is the way we start our new season, now 20 of them, and the ability to share with our audience all the cool things that your members are doing and your exhibitors here at CES. So congrats to you, by the way, for you start your 2-year tenure now as chairman of the board of CEA, so the top dog here. You have got to be, I'm guessing, one of the smaller heads of a company and one of the youngest guys, I think, in general, as chairman of CEA. I'm trying to think back all the 20 years that we've had the chairs on and even before then, and they've always been, rightly so or otherwise, huge companies and, you know, the Panasonics of the world or whatever, those kind of things. And you have a smaller company. We're going to talk about that in a minute as well. But this has got to be kind of cool for you as well.
Oh, it's extremely cool. I'm the luckiest guy here. I mean, you know, I still wonder, you know, how did I get this job? I certainly, this is a really, really great place to be. The CEA staff is so amazing. I have to do very, very little. I get to come on shows like you. I get to talk, and I get to be proud of everybody at CEA and the show that's produced here.
You're kind of like the ambassador of consumer electronics,
so to speak, right?
Yeah, it sort of works out that way. And I got to tell you, from our perspective too, just talking to a lot of the staff that we work with, of course, very regularly, year-round, but especially for CEA, for CES, they all love you already. They say, "Oh my gosh, he's so cool. He's such a nice guy." And you know, he came around and he met all of us at the office, and you know, just outside of Washington D.C. is the main office for CEA, and everybody was saying this is going to be a fun 2 years. You know, so that's good. You know, we don't hear that too often either, and so that's really cool. But tell me about, you're also chairman in real life of Star Power is your company.
Correct. I started with my family a company that's an upscale retailer of consumer electronics and home related. So we also own a floor covering company, one of the larger ones in the United States, actually, that part of it.
I just recarpeted my house in Miami. You should have a branch there.
I think we have one in Florida, but I'm not sure if it's in Miami, but we'll get to the next room.
Yes.
But we also have an appliance company, and then, of course, we have a consumer electronics company, which I'm the head of, and that company is really, really fun. I mean, I get to wake up every morning and run in and look at all of these great electronics and innovative products and determine, hey, this is what we want to merchandise, this is what we want to sell.
Yeah.
So we're looking at it. I mean, we have expanded. We're actually a Texas-based company. We also have an outlet in Scottsdale, Arizona. We do work all over the United States, and with that, we're actually looking at opening more stores. So hopefully we'll get to Miami one day soon.
You should, or at least look at our affiliates list and then open one in every one of those cities.
That's perfect.
So the people will hear us talking about you and, oh, wait, but there's a store here.
Right. Well, clearly, if they're listening to your channel, then they're interested in technology, and that's who our customer is. So that's probably a good guide for where we should go.
Oh, for sure. Now, when you talk about consumer electronics in general with Star Power, are you doing just all sorts of CE stuff? Is it a lot of home goodies specifically, or some home automation as well? What sorts of things do you find are popular in your stores?
So home automation obviously is the biggest growth category. Premium products, products that are not just easy to use, but also are of a higher quality. So give the user a better experience, better end user experience, and of course anything that we think can integrate into the home and make life be. That's why we purchased an upscale appliance company a few years back, and incorporating kitchens now into our technology. So it's kind of rounding about luxury living at home, living better at home, that kind of theme. Not to get too far off subject, but we had, when 2008 hit and a lot of businesses had to change how they thought of their business, we decided to look at our business not as a consumer electronics company necessarily. but for the consumer specifically of who we wanted to target. And so we developed a strategy around that, which happens to include consumer electronics, and it works out very, very well.
That's good for the industry, too, that it happened to include consumer electronic stuff, because it's such a growing market. In the 20 years we've been covering CES, and we cover consumer tech exclusively all these years, there's never been a dull moment. There's always fun things to talk about.
Right. No, and if you look at, and Gary and staff and people that, were the chairs before me, really had great vision in widening this umbrella to include not just, speaker companies and TV companies, but, hey, let's talk about the car companies. Let's talk about, a Ford, who you mentioned in your sponsorship. I mean, they're here in full force. They gave the keynote opening CES.
Sure.
And they are here showing all their new technology, all the new products, because, quite frankly, we live with consumer electronics everywhere.
In fact, we had the former Ford CEO, Alan Mulally, on the show right after his very first keynote here at CES, when they were pretty much the first major car company to be so involved. And I asked him, I said, I've got to know, do you consider yourselves a car company or a technology company? And he paused and he said, Dave, that's a good question. He said, I'd have to say, I think now we're a technology company that makes cars. And I thought that wrapped it up in a nice bow about the proper thinking, the forward thinking of a lot of people involved in tech these days. You have to think that way.
And you look at Ford compared to other car manufacturers and where they've been and where they're going, one would argue that them embracing consumer electronics first was a very, very smart move on their part.
That and the fact that they didn't need tax dollars to turn themselves around and become even more profitable. So
I like that even better.
Yes, I had to congratulate him on that. So in our remaining 30 seconds, I want to get from you as also chairman of CEA, your take on where we're headed into tomorrow. Where do you think this whole consumer electronics industry is going, other than up for sure?
So we made obviously a transition from where we've gotten connected technology to now we're moving to predictive technology. So ideas where these electronics work for you. For instance, recognizing your wristwatch and recognizing how fast you're moving and recognizing which door to open and all of the things that, maybe small things, but, ultimately they are part of our lives. And so trying to do this, that's really where I see the industry going in terms of the products. And I think it's a very exciting time to be a part of this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. And we're looking forward to your 2 years tenure these next couple of years. We've got to get you on the show more than just at CES. There's more to talk about. We'll certainly meet up at CEA industry events, but let's get you on more often and continue this discussion at least over the next couple of years.
I'm happy to do so anytime.
Thank you, Dan. Dan Pidgeon is the new chairman of CEA, the Consumer Electronics Association. Oh, and in his spare time now is also chairman of Star Power. You want to visit star-power.com. We'll link you there too on our site at intotomorrow.com. And for all things CES related, cesweb.org, ce.org as well for the Consumer Electronics Association. That's probably enough websites right now for a few minutes. We're back with more from Las Vegas. I'm Dave Graveline. This is Into Tomorrow on the Advanced Media Network.